This is the beginning. Counting the cost of a successful marriage. Now I'm gonna give you guys my perspective. When I seen that, it makes me think about the expenses.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when they think about expenses, of course they think about money. But I want you to kind of get a little more in depth about your perspective from where you were coming from when saying counting the cost of a successful marriage.
All right. Anytime you're going to build anything, Nikki, regardless of what it is, there's a cost to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a cost to marriage. Matter of fact, don't get started in this if you ain't got some money.
Okay.
Because things going to be funny if you ain't got no money.
That's
As the
where
sister said, there won't be no, thank you, won't be no romance without no finance.
Okay.
So the reality is, before God gave Adam a wife, he gave him a job. Right. Yeah, he gave him a job first. So when he got that wife, he'd be able to have some money so he can, you know what I'm saying, make sure he could take care of his family. So the cost is important, but it's more than just a job, right? Marriage would cost you everything. A great marriage would cost you everything, meaning your time, your talent, your effort, and it's all about learning what to do. So there's a cost to marriage. That means you got to put everything that you know into this thing to make it work, and there's a cost.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's sacrifices as well too, along with that cause, you know. But I realize a lot about our generation nowadays. You know, they don't understand that. You know, even before marriage, you have to be able to have a solid foundation for us in your relationship. And if you don't put God on the forefront, you know, the spiritual being of who you guys are individually, you know, you're bound to fail.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that's just the number one thing. Like when I hear calls, even though I think about expenses, but I also think like if, like you said, the pros and cons, if the foundation ain't right, then you know
the whole building ain't gonna be right.
Whoa,
yeah.
Talk about it. It's gonna
Shaky
fall apart.
Foundation.
It's gonna fall apart. So,
and we gotta understand, Nikki, God is the builder of this thing. You know, anytime that you're gonna find out about anything, regardless of what it is, you got to find out what was in the mind of the maker that built it. And you got to find out what his intent was when he built it. If you don't find out what the intent is when whatever that person was building, then you're going to misuse that thing. So you got to find out what was God's intention when he created the institution of marriage. And then you got to find out, how did he want it ran? How did he want it to operate? Most people get into marriage and they want to operate it like they want to operate, like jumping into a car and you want to drive it and do what you want to do. Very shortly, that car going to break down.
You ain't never lied about that.
If you don't read the manual of that car, it's going to eventually break down on you and it's not going to get the maximum out of it. Marriage is no different. So if you're going to find out how marriage should work, you know, how to get the best out of how a family is going to work and function and get the best out of it, you got to get the manual. You got to get the manual.
And so I noticed, right, that this was one of the first chapters before the introduction. So look, he's schooling y'all right now as well too in the midst, because I noticed the way you got it structured, you know, it's kind of like you're giving them a layout a little bit. Giving them a slight little layout, like, look, okay, I'm going to spit a little bug in your ear and I'm going to speak the words to you, but I'm going to also give it to you in the right order. Wisdom. Take your time and you do it piece by piece. Now we're going to go on to this next one. Love, the glue that keeps us together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I gotta say that again for my viewers. Thank you guys for chiming in. I'm sitting here with Pastor Max T. Melvin, okay? And we are merged in between the sheets right now, okay? This is what's going on. You here with your girl Lightwork Nikky, and we breaking it down, and you know, we just allowing everyone to tune in, not only into his world, but you know, tuning in on a godly manner of things. Everything don't have to be wild and crazy, you know. I mean, the real reality is that your spirituality is what's going to keep you together in this world. If you haven't seen it by now, then you need to see it, because I feel like the pandemic and COVID most definitely was something that was a wake up call.
Absolutely.
And it didn't matter what race, what color, where you come from, what your background is. If you
Absolutely.
ain't turning to God during that season, then I don't really know what to tell you.
I don't know what to say.
For real.
Yeah.
But this is for the couples though, people that are actually thinking about becoming married,
Mhm.
you know, or have been married or lost their way. You know, he does counseling as well too. You know, you can reach out to him and communicate with him. It's the same name on all different platforms. So look, y'all, it's serious right now.
Absolutely.
It's very serious, even though we're speaking about it a little lightly and still kind of giggling or whatever. But you know, you gotta be optimistic about life. But it's a lot of serious situations where, it's though, due to the fact that we haven't had the foundations of having fathers, as you know, people of poverty coming up,
Mhm.
we lost the touch.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we really, really did. And a lot of the women, even though they turn to God, they still push the men away.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, not realizing that God put the men right there for us.
Absolutely.
Because you think about it, right? The average black woman, when they going through their stage and they kind of get a little bitter or whatnot, and they feel like the men ain't treating them right or they ain't getting what they want, they turn to the Lord, and that's what they supposed to do.
Yeah.
But you know, just turn to Him when you feel like you can't get that companionship that you want.
Right.
You feel me? You got to be able to have Him with you, walk with you
Absolutely.
during those times,
Absolutely.
during those seasons, and then still be conscious enough ways though when God do bring you a good man, you don't put him on the forefront.
Absolutely.
You